Welcome to the Healing Manifest podcast. I'm Elijah.
Benita.
And I just wanted to say, with the last episode, it was so good, I found. It was, I think, the first time, even my side of the episode was ooh, got a lot out there.
Definitely it got vulnerable, but if we're not doing it like that, then how, it's not authentic. It's not, I don't know. It's just, there's more depth in emotion and hopefully helping people all around the world with our words and our experiences.
And I think we both just had that space, like you said, of being vulnerable and being transparent. And literally, like you said, it's exactly what this is about. It's exactly what I want. And this is where I said, I knew you were the person for it. You get it.
Aww.
You get it.
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
And I know for today's topic, you messaged me and you mentioned it. So I want to give you that space to you can introduce it. Because I honestly, you brought it up and I was like, that's perfect for today.
So today's episode will be about creating a positive mindset. And, I've definitely been around people who are negative. And I've seen how it creates a spiral effect for not only for them, but everyone around them. And it's so heavy. Being negative and just having that mindset is so heavy. And when you're a positive person, like I really try to be, you appreciate life. You're walking around so much lighter, and it's infectious. And when you're positive, other people are positive, and it gives them hope, and it encourages them to have that mindset. And like I said, I've been through a lot of experiences in my life. I've sometimes been negative, sometimes been positive, and I've grown so much more and I've accomplished so much more with being a positive person.
And literally the biggest thing with having that positive mindset, it is the people that you're around and how they speak, right? And it's funny you said in the first episode, and I love it. I hope that becomes our saying on this is, if you're around negative Nancy's,
oh God,
they don't help much when you're trying to develop, and you don't realize it until you're around more people that have that positive mindset, and you're like, oh, I've been holding on and carrying this negative load I never even realized that I had on me. I know myself especially, it took that moment of I used to very much find it so easy to end a joking kind of way, complain about things. Just be like, oh man, this weather, am I right, guys? And just when you're around people who are kind of that's weird, you're focusing on that, but okay, it makes you realize oh, why do I say that? Why am I that is a weird thing for me to kind of be on right now, right? I'd also want to add on to that with being around people who, when they have negative thoughts and you allow those to be the things that you're around and the main thing that you're centered around, you don't realize how much your growth itself gets stunted, and how much just being able to hit that positive mind and how much positive thinking actually does more for getting to where you want to get to. Even in the smallest thing of if I want to, let's say, for example, I want to make more money, for example, making money is a big thing for me. If everyone I'm around is just focused on how, I've been around circles like this where they're just focused on, the government's just trying to keep us down. We're not meant to get to this place. If you're around that talk so much, you're not going to be around any conversations that can help better you to get to where you want to get to. Those aren't conversations that are telling you, invest in stocks, this stock, that stock, whatever, for example, or this is a good skill to kind of learn. You're not going to be around that conversation, right?
Yeah, it's also about thinking. I'm really big on right now on energy and people's energy, and I'm thinking about my energy and how I feel like I'm perceived and how people perceive my light and my energy, because literally we're just walking energy. We're not, I know this is going to be a whole other topic, but we're not really we're not that big. We're just lights walking around, and some are low and some are high, and it's important to be a positive light, and you just, it becomes infectious, and I don't know, I can't really get my words together,
like,
but
I want to say what we were saying with how we're all light, we're all energy. Have you ever heard of Alan Watts?
yes, I
So
have. My brother introduced me to him. Shout out to him.
There's a lot of him, and I'm gonna butcher this one Albert Einstein phrase that he said, where we're all literally vibration. Like every vibration is literally everything. And I took many years of studying that and understanding frequency and everything, especially listening to a lot of like Alan Watts, and literally that ties so much with the conversation of building positive energy. Is we literally do vibrate on different frequency levels.
Yeah.
So when you think about how shame is the lowest frequency and enlightenment is the highest frequency, there's, oh my goodness, so many in between, and I'm not even going to attempt to name all of them right now because I'm going to butcher it. But if you think about, if you're around people who are constantly ashamed of themselves, like they're constantly like, oh, like, no one ends up wanting to be around someone who's like, I'm like, oh my goodness, this looks so good. No, it doesn't. It's awful. It's trash. I hate it. People tend to always like kind of shy away from that. But if you're someone who's also feeling that, you're also going to be around that. And that happens, if you think about that, on every level of spectrum of frequency. So when you start thinking of, okay, I want to kind of be on a high frequency myself, I have to be around different as well. I have to now accept different in my life also. And that's a scary thing too, of accepting different frequency in your life. Because people also say it's like, when you start being around people who they give you more love, they give you more affection, it can feel so unnormal. It's almost uncomfortable. And that's where it's not on that frequency you're accustomed to being on sometimes.
It's also being selective with who you're around, and really sometimes it's accepting the hard truth that some people that you have been around for a long time no longer bring good to your light, right? Yeah. If someone else is negative and they're making you feel heavy and just drained, that's another sign, because I've been there where I just feel so heavy around people and just so drained and just so run down. Like, those are signs that you don't realize, but like the universe and like where the universe is like, and your body is trying to tell you, like, listen, this is
not it no more.
Yeah, it's not suiting what you deserve to have and the light you deserve to have around you. And it really is like, I don't know, it's really makes a difference when someone is negative and someone is positive. You could just feel so it's like shame and enlightened. Like, that's how drastic the feeling within is.
And like literally we said, like, sometimes you end up having to accept, like, oh, this circle, it's not, and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. The purpose of that, if you think about it, when we sometimes start friendships with people, we envision ourselves being with this person for like essentially our life, like being friends with this person forever. And we have a vision of how we would be friends at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is envisioned in a different way for that person also. And sometimes we're literally we can be two trees growing in a field.
You know, something I just thought about right now, so thank you for sparking that thought for me, was some people see the light, see your positivity, and they lack that. And they're just wanting to, absorb that from you. And when they suck it out of you, then they're gone.
That's the thing is, you know what? I like that light analogy, and I'm going to build on that analogy because that's a great one. And it's like, if you think about it, if you're a light in a dark room, you're the one light in a dark room, you're always going to be lighting that up until you die out.
That.
But you see, when you're a light and natural light's around you, you don't got to work as hard. You can last longer, right? You got more energy for yourself, right? And that's why I was like, you were onto something there.
Now I'm having like a visual of like that like little light
Yeah.
bulb just.
If a room is dark, you're gonna be, and that's where it's like when people are constant. Sometimes it is that, and in that dark room, people they're just like, "Oh my goodness, light! I like you. You're light. I was in darkness before you, but it's like, okay, you got that, but like, I given you the keys to also be a light. So please, help me up with getting this room bright too."
Question for you. Um, how do you know, how would you say that you know that someone is using you for your light and not trying to add to your light that you already have? Like sees it and it's like, you know what, I want to embrace this. I want to add to this. I want to, you know.
I think what's helped me with recognizing is I've been around heavy spectrums of people, right? So I've been able to see the utmost where I'm already leaving the room because I'm seeing that I'm going to be that if I go in this room. Being able to experience that, it helps me see the wide end of the spectrum where I'm like, okay, a lot of the time I'm able to see like, okay, you're probably going to be this right now for me in my life. So I'm going to keep you at a certain distance. And I'm able to start, like, sometimes I'm able to not recognize it right away. But when I do allow myself recognize, I'm like, oh, the light just went off in my own brain. Like, yeah, I'm not me when I'm with this person. I'm not enjoying the person I gotta be when I'm with this person over here, right?
That's true. And maybe I thought about maybe it's like you just feel heavy.
Yeah.
You feel heavy and drained, right? You feel like your soul is like being sucked out of you, essentially, right? And when you feel like that, I think no matter how you feel about this person and how much love and respect you have for them, I think it's really important to listen to your body, because your whole world is going to come crashing down if you allow that person to stay in your life.
And it's even just yourself being able to be like, okay. And I've caught myself with this too of like, okay, I feel heavy with this person here, but I still relate to this person. So that means I'm not somewhere that I want to be. So I need to also grow myself. Because what happens is when you get to a certain level of growth, a certain level of, I guess, like frequency difference with someone, you really start to be like, yeah, it's time. Like, you're like, I'm trying to think of an example here for a second here. But have you ever yourself, for example, like just to go off of that, right?
Sure.
You ever yourself been around people who try to introduce themselves to your life and you're just like, I'm not here, I'm not on this frequency, I'm not even gonna, I can't even vibe with this conversation or anything, goodbye.
Not really, but I've people have approached me where like we're on different life paths, but I still like them as a person. It's just certain things I don't really. I'm not on that life path, and
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I'm wanting to kind of be there as a friend or as just like an acquaintance here and there. But I'm also at this point in my life, I'm very, very selective with who I give my energy to.
And that's the frequency. So that's where it's like you are able to recognize that's a frequency where it's like, that's not vibing with me, right? There's people who are in your life right now where you're going to be like, okay, I vibe with you, but maybe I want to outgrow you. But why is it I'm still at a place where I'm relating to you? Where have I myself not grown? Where I'm still here? And you figure places where, okay, let me focus on my growth right now. And I think that's where the people in your life are only going to mean so much to you for as far as you allow yourself to grow and as far as you allow yourself to realize who you want to be, who you can be.
Very true. And that's where, and I know I've said this a lot in the past episodes, but like boundaries. Boundaries are so important when it comes to sharing your energy with people. When you realize how much light you have as a person, you're going to start looking at yourself like on a whole other level where you're going to truly value yourself. And you're going to be like, you know what? I can't be with this person every day, or I can't see them as much as I want to because I have this. But if they appreciate you, they respect you, they like you for who you are, then, and they don't have ill intent, then they're going to respect that boundary, and they're going to be like, okay, you know what, like, I get you, and I'm going to respect that. And that will allow them to build on their light, their energy, and stay healthy and not just consumed with another person's energy.
No, you're actually making me think here, because I'm literally thinking in my head as I ask you this question. You're making me think introspectively a bit. Like, when you think about people, when you realize, like, okay, you can respect my boundaries, right? And I don't have to like be around you 24/7, but you respect that. Do you see that as like the peak of what you think would be a respectful relationship to you?
Definitely, it's really important. And I think I've touched on this before, but like, I used to be a people pleaser, and I used to be so scared with setting boundaries, especially in romantic relationships. And when someone is confident in what you share and sees you for who you are and isn't threatened by you having a separate life aside of them, there is that's powerful. And that's, I don't know, that's just a different type of respect that I appreciate, especially going through everything I've gone through in my life. Nothing beats that, that I think
That's true.
I think accepting boundaries in relationships and having trust, like, that's stuff that is pretty powerful and pretty important.
That is a thing I'm thinking, because it is a thing sometimes to think about, as like, is not just for myself, the peak I see for myself, but the peak of what I see for the people around me, right? How, like, we don't actually really think about that or ask ourselves that, because that actually ends up being very integral on our own growth as well. So if you think about it, and I say this because for some people, I should say, having friends who just accept them for this specific part of them is a peak thing. They don't care if that friend like oversteps their boundary per se. They just accept that as a norm, and that's just life, right? They can accept that. So that's literally a peak for them. So I try to catch myself sometimes on the things that I see as a peak, right? And it is a good thing to catch up, like, okay, is this here a peak per se, or is this something that I've accepted? And it's hard to kind of like stretch that boundary of being respectful and like understanding, like, this truly is a peak, and find that boundary between that and of like, okay, is this just a peak that I've set for myself as well, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, I don't know, I feel like for some reason you have like friends that you've known for a very long time. So even for you, you probably have had to set boundaries that you've never had to set before. And if you have those people around you still, after you setting those boundaries and changing your life and how you are as a person, that speaks volumes. And that's how you know as well that you have real ones around you who genuinely love you and respect you as a person. And that's important for everyone listening. Like, what happens when you set boundaries with people in your life? How do they react? Are they mad because they don't have you're not giving your light to them as often as they want, or are they respecting it and finding themselves as you separate yourself?
And like, the thing too, I'm realizing too with friends, and like when I look at my own friendships and my friend groups and the people I have in my life to this day that I could call a friend that I met like 10 years ago or whatever, right? Shoot, some of them 15 years ago. But like, the point is, when I think about it, it's like, and at the end of the day, going back to what I was saying earlier as well, it's like, we have this vision of being friends forever because we visualize ourselves growing as individuals together in a certain way. And it's just, okay, is this person now continuing that end of the, I guess, quote unquote agreement, essentially, right? Like the unspoken agreement of us growing together and like growing as individuals. Have they continued to do that? Or have they put themselves in a position where they see themselves as peaked?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're with someone, it's like, okay, you visualize yourself as peaked. I don't see myself as peaked. I want to see you go higher, but I may have to accept those boundaries. I have to accept that that's you and where you want to be. And it's not that there has to be an animosity between us, but we know when we're forced in relationships sometimes. We know when it's just the mind, the body wants what it wants. And when you're going to be around people who are on that wavelength more over time as you grow, and those are going to be people you start to grow relationships with as well. And that is perfectly fine. That is life. That's acceptable.
Yeah, that's hard. I definitely struggle with like ending friendships, and it's not an easy thing, especially for a female. I feel like as you get older, it's really hard to find female friends that genuinely, love and respect you and care for you, and it's just genuine.
Thing is, I guess to go with that, like, and I feel like I say this because I feel like you're similar in this kind of sense with it, is I don't believe even myself I'm someone who ends relationships, but people will end relationships because they see where I am, like what I'm doing. So I may not want to, and I think it goes for yourself probably as well, where it's just like, I may not want to talk with this person every day. I may not want to do that, right?
Yeah.
But I still appreciate who you are, and I'll still care about you, right? It's just how I'm is different. But if I should say me now doing that, where I don't talk to you much, but I still appreciate you. If that's not enough for you, you're probably going to end the friendship with me.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I've accepted that that's probably going to be a thing, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I would still want to be in a place where something could happen, and I'm going to want to message you or call you and be like, hey, yo, funny, this happened. And if that's once every 6 months, once every year, once every 5 years, I want to be able to still have that. And I feel like that's okay. I don't need to end a friendship to me. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think we all have a different life story. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but a lot of my friends are married with kids. They just have different priorities in life, and I could definitely be that person where it's like, oh my God, like you're not making me a priority. But no, when they reach out to me, if they're going through something, I'm still the same Benita. Like that will never change. As soon as we have a friendship, relationship, some type of, relationship, I will be there no matter what. And I think that's important.
It's so great, and it's like there's so much things where we don't realize it or get it until we're in that position. Like I know myself, I used to, before I ever had a relationship, I had friends where I'd be like, yo, like why don't you, like you're putting so much like focus here, like what's going on? And then you get when you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And then after it's like, as I grow in certain place, I'm like, oh, okay, I get this more. And it's like, it is sometimes hard to fully fathom when you don't experience something. But it's like, okay, we all kind of end up having to catch ourselves of having to be like, okay, let me fathom and respect that a bit. Yeah, because that happens.
I think with relationships, though, I've realized is that it's really hard for me to balance. And the number one fear that I have when it comes to being in a relationship is losing myself. And I think a lot of people, like especially growing up European and Portuguese household, my mom didn't have friends. She had, sister-in-laws and cousins and aunts and uncles, and we had a really big family. So my mom didn't have friends, and she was always with my dad and always with family. So growing up, that's what I seen. And then I realized that for me personally, I don't feel like it's healthy being with someone every day. Obviously, if you're living with them, it's different. But I think it's really important to have not a separate life, but like other things going for you where you're spending time with family without that person, and you're spending time with your friends without that person, and you're spending time with them. I feel like for me, I've lost myself in a lot of my relationships, and I don't like that because I love me. And then I think when people are in a long-term relationship, they mold into one person, and then things get boring because you essentially become either, I don't know, one person or the other, and then you you become one personality.
I'll tell you, like, myself experiencing kind of both ends of the spectrum. When you're with someone, I feel like that you just don't, like, that you, sometimes you just internally feel like you're with the right person.
Yeah.
Where you will just not feel like you're losing yourself. There's a level of it, though, too, where it's like, you end up having to, like, think introspectively, too, of, like, okay, this is new me a little bit. But for them, like, 90% of it, it is that internal feeling of, like, I could be with this person every day, and I don't feel like that.
How do you differentiate that
It's just
for the people?
I find for myself, it was literally just an internal feeling. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, at least just going off my own personal experience,
Yeah.
if you feel like you're losing yourself with someone, that is literally not the person for you. And there's going to be little things that your body, your mind, your soul is going to be telling you of, like, this ain't it. And you kind of have to listen to it.
But I feel like some people have, like, different attachment styles, right? So maybe you're not losing yourself, but there's people that have different attachment styles. So people like to message a lot, and some people like to, hold back and just kind of do their own thing and message here and there or see them here and there. But it might not be like that you're losing yourself. It's just like the attachment styles are different.
And I find that it's possible. Here's the thing too, is you could have, and I've had this happen, where you could have the exact, like, pretty much similar love languages and still feel like that.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you're just not, and, like, it's just not right. There's just something that's just not right that's making you feel like you're losing yourself. And there is still a bit, because that's why I still say it's like 90%, because there's still going to be a bit where it's just like, am I a person who just likes to be alone? Am I a person who likes to be around family more? Like, what do I truly, like, value a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So a bit of that comes into play, where it's just like, you have to kind of balance that too. But a lot of it is just, you are internally, gonna feel like, I'm losing myself. And it's just this little feeling that's in you.
Yeah. I'm just so scared of losing myself. Yeah. So now I'm, like, just so, like, I'm making myself a priority no matter who comes into my life, because I'm, like, low-key traumatized. And I love myself. I don't deserve to lose myself ever again. And so it's something for me that is been in the front.
But, like, maybe that's the thing, is mind. You have been trying to work on, maybe it's just, like, you have to work on who you are, who putting you first is.
Yeah.
And without having that, you're going to feel that you're losing yourself, because you're losing yourself even when you're alone.
Say it again.
Maybe you're feeling like maybe you're losing yourself even, like, when you're alone.
Why?
So, like, think of it what you just said a second ago, right? Where it's like, you are putting yourself first more now, right?
Yeah.
And you're starting to, like, figure you out on who that is first, and putting that first. Maybe that's what it is, right? So if this is something that's outside of even a relationship, and because this is a journey that you've always needed to do, no matter what relationship you're in, you're gonna feel that, because you're always gonna feel like,
what? Like I'm losing myself?
Yeah, you're always gonna feel like you're losing yourself, because there's this sense of who you are when you prioritize yourself. Mm-hmm.
That's really deep, and I don't know why I'm not.
No, just think of that, and, like, yeah, like, it's in the concept of, like, having that positive mindset, having the people around you have a positive mindset, having that standard for yourself of the mindset that you want to have and the frequency you want to vibrate on. It's so much of an introspective conversation. And you end up having to have moments where you're just alone and you think of these things and you just ask yourself as much questions as you can. And even just being transparent with yourself and being honest with yourself is a hard part of the journey alone. Because you're going to always want to be like, no, this is fair. Like, of course, but something just being like, no, I got to accept this and that. It's so much of a journey by itself to even get to certain places.
I think gratitude plays a big part in being positive because is that like probably a higher vibration when you're like
For
grateful?
sure,
So when you allow yourself to be grateful, then you're positive, you're happy about life, you're feeling good, you're feeling optimistic. Those are all, I think, all feelings that go together. So I need to get on my gratitude journal,
yeah.
my 10 of them.
Yes.
But yeah, positivity is really, really important. Definitely a key to growth, positive growth, and overall happiness in life for sure.
As I think to yourself, like, what is really, when I think about my life, where I want it to be, who I want to be, what am I missing? Like, what am I, not even just like on a negative, like, oh, I need this, I need that, whatever, but like, what am I truly missing? What am I truly, or even not just missing, but what do I need to take out sometimes too from my life to really understand that? Like,
For me, it's definitely negative self-talk. I'm so hard on myself, so hard on myself, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. And I've been trying to be very intentional and mindful with the way I'm thinking, the way I'm talking. Um, I know I'm capable of a lot, and it's really I'm competing my own self. It's not there's like a saying like you're competing with who you were yesterday. Like that's the only person you should be competing with. And it's also that self-reflection piece, right? Like this is why I say like spending time by yourself is really important because if I didn't have these moments where I'm by myself just, in my thoughts, then the other side of it is I wouldn't know. I wouldn't realize that I'm negative self-talking because I wouldn't have time to think about that.
and like, I could relate to that a lot, and it's like, I feel like there's a spectrum of it where it's like there's the negative, the positive, and there's the balance. And my positive myself is being in that balanced state of like I can feel very middle, I guess, for lack of a better word. That I learned from like when I studied like different religions. I learned that like Buddhism, for example, they speak of middle.
Okay.
It's the concept of not being swayed in a certain direction, but being very peace in middle. And I find myself losing that a lot when I am so hard on myself. I'm very hard on. I constantly, everything I do, I have a very perfectionist mindset, and I don't show it much, but I'm gonna critique everything I do. I find it hard to take compliments on things sometimes because I'm just like it's not where I wanted it to be. I wanted this to be a specific way. I'm gonna see the flaws. I'm gonna hear the flaws. Everything, of anything that I do, because I just want it to be perfect. And I'm just like, okay, how do I not, like, I need to sometimes take a step back. And sometimes be like, you know what, this is good. Let me appreciate that.
How did you get to the point where you reached that middle ground for the people that are watching and for myself?
I mean, I have moments where I'm in it and I'm out of it. But I just had one day randomly where I was realizing I was thinking and I was like, for as much as I don't like things that are negative in my life, I enjoy the things that are positive in my life. And I realized that when I chase the things that I like, it's leaving a spectrum for things that occur that I don't like. So what I mean by that is, if I love on a very materialistic standpoint, if I would love to have a mansion, koozie, all these great things, then not having that is going to make me feel negative, right? And the lower of which I have all these things, the more negative I feel. And I only have these negatives because I have this positive in front of it, right? So when I realized that, I was like, so there's clearly then a middle where I don't feel either, but I feel content with my life and I feel content with just where my mind is, right? And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, let me try focus on what that middle is.
So would you say like just being in the present moment?
Yeah, being in the present and then just figuring out what is okay for you to be like. I don't, for me at least, it was very much figuring out how much I can do for myself to be okay with everything taken from me. If everything was to be taken from me, what are the things I'm able to be like, I have this? Kind of what we talked about in our last episode, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, for me, I started to realize, let me focus on that more than anything else.
That's awesome. Thank you.
No?
That was helpful. That was helpful.
Oh.
One thing I just thought about was the thing that keeps me super positive and having that mindset is like every negative situation that I've gone through in my life, I always look, and I said this before in another episode, always look at the positive. And there's always something, even if it's a little thing, there's always some type of positive or a lesson in any negative situation that you go through. And when you have that type of mindset, that also helps you to remain positive and remaining grateful that, yeah, this did happen, but this came out of it. You know, and I'm grateful for that. And that's helped me so much.
I don't know, it's always gonna be a thing that's just different per person, and that's like, it's a very interesting, like, your perspective of it as well. And I'm like, I could see that, and especially with where you focus yourself on your growth, and I see it a lot, and I'm like, okay, I see, and I like that for you as well, honestly.
And I think the key to all of this is being super intentional, really being intentional, and being intentional and growing as a person, and being kind to yourself and saying, you know what, I'm on this journey and it's not going to be perfect, but I'm being intentional, and with that in itself, you're going to win.
Yeah. And now, just segueing over, because I do, and I feel like I need this, the coffees here that you brought here. And what was the name of the place here again?
It's Caldense Bakery.
Caldense Bakery.
It's a Portuguese bakery. There's scattered all over the GTA. They're home of the natas, custard tarts.
Not the natas?
Yeah, that's Portuguese.
Okay.
They're custard tarts. So.
No, I've never had Portuguese coffee.
So this is a latte.
A latte. My apologies.
And in no, that's okay. So in Portuguese they call it galão. Galão.
Ooh, cheers. So I go to Portugal, I'm asked for a galão.
Yes, exactly.
See, in Jamaica we have that word too, but you know, we more prefer to say, you know, galão and go about yourself or something.
This is really good.
That hit the spot. Oh my gosh. Is there sugar too?
Yes.
Ooh,
There's
okay. 2 sugars.
Yes, with almond milk. Yours is almond milk and mine is regular milk.
I love this one here. It's like, I think the first episode we were doing this, we had the matchas.
Yes.
It reminds me of a bit of that earthy flavor that I like with it. And it's like, I like this right here. And this is where, I think this is probably one of the top, like, coffees I've had. It's like Portugal coffee beans that are in it, or also how they make it.
I believe so. They also have really good bread, like pastries, like really, really good.
I need to have this with some Portuguese bread then. This is
right.
I feel like that combo is gonna slap.
Yes.
Like, I've had Portuguese coffee. I've had Turkish coffee. I think I've had Iranian and South American as well. And it's like, it's so crazy how, like, with different cultures, they still have the different coffees, the coffee beans, and like how the flavoring can be a bit different in every culture. And it's like, huh.
Was the South American one like pretty decent, you would say? Right?
It was pretty good. It's like, it's, if I was to describe how I was feeling like the South American one that I had, I think it was, to be specific, I'm like 90% sure if I remember correctly, it was Ecuadorian.
Okay.
It's just got this homely feeling, like this, like the flavor of it's just very, it's like you could have it and you just feel like I can have this, maybe have a toast and just watch TV and I feel good. Like, it doesn't hit, and it's like any kind of other way like that, where this one I feel like I could have this and I feel like I'm gonna go for a walk and probably like work after that or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
productive vibes.
Yeah. So that's why I like this one here.
Yeah, it's pretty.
For as hard as I get on myself, I find that I'm realizing now, I should say, that I reflect both in a negative and positive way. So sometimes I'll be like, wow, okay, like I did come this far away, but especially for myself because I've done so many things. I get hard on myself for the mistakes that I've made. And levels of which it is not, but like I came from where before I was doing this and focusing on this and like directing and doing videography, I was very much focused on the goal of being an artist and being a DJ producer, right? That was literally my life for, I would say, 12 years at least, right?
Wow.
I just ended up coming to where spiritually, this was more so where I felt like I needed to be in. This was more so where I knew I was going to need to be in. And I had to catch myself and say, you know, I can get to where I can get to where I always envision myself getting to, and I can do that with like music. I was just going to be doing things I was just aware I didn't want to be in. I didn't want to do. So for example, as I grew spiritually, I wasn't drinking anymore. I wasn't around like alcohol at all anymore. And then for me to be in that place, and then I'm DJing and I'm telling other people to go get drinks, go have some alcohol.
Oh, okay.
That was probably the biggest thing for me where I was like, this is not it. This is not where I wanted to be. And then getting to places where I was like, okay, like a bit of it was also like what I was making in terms of the style of music, everything. I was like, this is not where I wanted to get to. But because at the same time, I left it because I recognize these things. It's a lot of times I'm hard on myself because I'm like, I spent so much time doing this and I'm at ground zero now, it feels like.
But where did it lead you?
It led me to somewhere great, and I'm still like, that's the thing, it's hard for me sometimes to remind myself, like, it put me to a great position, and there's so much things that I learned along that way that I've been able to put towards this. There's so much things that I learned when it comes to when I do the editing, especially for the audio. I've learned along that journey, the connections that I've made, so much things. I don't even think I would have been able to start this if I didn't do that first.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you were promoting something that didn't feel right to yourself. So if you weren't doing that, then you wouldn't have realized what you were meant to do.
Yeah. And I've realized I'm like, yeah, I get hard on myself and I have to remind myself to like there is negative and positive reflection, kind of remind myself of that. And I guess when you start getting on that where you're reflecting more, you're gonna I feel like you're gonna see it too. And like, I guess if anything, remind yourself, let me remember where I am at the end of the day. It's what it matters. And what I know today is the biggest thing that matters. And I can teach myself anything, and I know I have that now.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength and knowledge for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you go through as a person, the more you grow and the more you excel.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You mentioned it too. I think it was off camera you were mentioning it. And it's just a concept that growth never ends. And like, no matter how old you get,
yes,
you can get to where you want to get to. Like we're talking about like the person who runs like Apple, they didn't hit their first million or something like that till they were in their 40s, or like things like that happen. People get in their 50s and they hit their first million. You don't have to be in your 20s or 30s to hit that. We just hear so much stories about that we forget.
Repeat that so people are watching. Take that in.
Like, yeah, like, we hear so much, we focus so much on the stories of the people who they hit their million, they hit that period in their life in their 20s and 30s, that we forget that you can still hit that in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Just enjoy the journey along the way.
Double facts.
Yeah, you're kind of putting me that
reminder of myself as well.
Reminder of myself as well. of that fact there.
We get tough on ourselves, and especially
we get tough on ourselves, and especially as we get older, we stop and we stop thinking that, you know,
we start thinking I should say that
growth stops.
Hit a certain age, but no,
I used to hit a certain age, but no, you're still constantly doing what you gotta do and just enjoy your journey in life. Keep focusing on the fact that you are a person you were not yesterday, and how you're gonna grow and be a better person tomorrow, and so forth.
I'm very hard on myself when it comes to that too, right? I think of my age, I think about where I'm going to be, where I want it to be, and I think it's definitely really important that you stay optimistic and positive, that the sky's the limit, and really you're the only person that's holding yourself. You're holding yourself back. No one else is. No one else has that power but you. And if anyone else does, is you're giving them that power to do that.
And I was thinking just now too, it's something I was realizing to tie with what you're saying, what we're talking about now.
I remember there was one day
I had a day off.
I left my house, and
it was around the same time people usually are going for work.
And it scared me to see
how
everyone's walking this street.
Everyone's
just walking in this way.
Everyone's just walking in this way together. They're dressed so similar.
It literally
felt like I was in a matrix, to say the least. Where like everyone's walking. It's like this is the everyone's going to work. Everyone's leaving. We're kind of
mode of transportation,
and then everyone gets into their job, doing almost the same thing.
We're all put in this
zone of like just a cycle.
And reason I bring that up is
because I feel like not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like
allow our
goals and our dreams and our ideas to be killed off because we're in this full-time environment.
We allow that to kill
our creativity. We allow that to kill our concepts of growth and what we can do with it. Because our life literally just becomes
wake up, work,
pay bills,
and when that becomes your life,
that is where your growth truly does end.
Yes, I agree, and that's very scary. But one thing I want to say is that people that are happy doing the 9 to 5, that's important, because you know you're still valuable, and if you're happy doing that and you have a job that, you know, brings you wealth and happiness and growth and all those great things, then that too is acceptable, and it's not frowned upon. It's just the creatives, you know, the creatives that are meant to do that. I think that's when you need to strive to reach for more.
What I do notice of the people who are, that I, at least for myself, I recognize in my life, those who are happy in their 9 to 5 jobs, and those who aren't, the big difference is their life doesn't still end after.
Like I have coworkers
who love their job. They love what they do, and they'll still go out together. They will do experiences whatever, right? When they leave,
they give themselves
that space of
I love this.
Let me just love this while I love everything else that I love in my life. And just being able to be like, give myself that thing after this that I love. Right?
That's great. That's balance. That's important. Like once you have that, you know, something about being like, now that I'm in this area in my life where it's like me starting to think about me being a full-time entrepreneur, is making sure that I have a routine set in place. And now I don't have a boss holding me accountable like, okay, Benita, you have to be here at 8:30 in the morning. No, I have to get myself up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I have to do that. And if you don't have that and you're starting off like to be a full-time entrepreneur, you have to keep yourself accountable. And if you don't, then it can go downhill real quick, and you start to realize that really fast, that you need that routine. Humans need that routine. So I think that's another tip for if you're starting off to be an entrepreneur.
There's still a routine that everyone still needs, and I think people do forget when it comes to being an entrepreneur that it's not just
parties on boats.
You're
just seeing money just
you're
coming
just
to
seeing
like,
money just coming to
like,
like you're like
Yeah.
extremely
there's
right.
so
Like,
much
there's so
hard work.
much
Like,
hard work that like literally what you said is you become your own
start
boss.
having to do
You
all these
start
things.
having to
You
do
are
all these things.
literally
You are
accountable
literally
for you,
accountable for
your,
you,
like,
and
everything,
your
right?
like everything,
And
right?
there's going to be stresses.
There's going to be these things, but at least you like if you want to do it, and it's because you know you are going to enjoy those stresses.
That's for you, right?
That's for you, right?
I know people who
it's not. I know people who they want to be entrepreneurs because they see the money, they see the lifestyle that these people that they know who are entrepreneurs have.
You're seeing literally
what's probably 30.
They are literally probably doing
that party that one time this week because all those other hours leading up to that moment, they were killing themselves to be able to.
I want to shout out Team Real Estate 247.
Yes.
Because this girl makes entrepreneurship look like a piece of cake, like so easy. You're looking at her stories and you're like, wow, like look at her living it. But that girl does not stop.
She loves it though. She loves being an entrepreneur. She loves doing what she does.
And it's like, is this work for you?
Is this work for you?
You're on the phone, you're doing all these things.
You're on the phone, you're doing all these things, and you have a joy that you never.
Her personality is A1.
Yeah.
And I just like I strive to be on that tip. Like not even like the success she has, but her drive. Yeah. Her determination, her resilience, and I've known her for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of her. And I think that's just one of many examples of how, you know, how easy an amazing entrepreneur makes it look like to the outside world. But that girl barely sleeps.
I do want to get to the fan question quick.
We gotta go very short, but I do want to still get to the fan question.
Now the fan question was actually
more so about
it was essentially someone else talking
it's them struggling with their perception of self
and trying to find content with who they themselves.
Literally finding content within themselves.
And they focus on
not feeling like the best, not feeling the prettiest, not feeling how they look, just trying to feel that content within themselves. So
advice for that. I would say for myself,
it was very much.
I didn't stop caring about how I look.
I didn't stop caring about.
Being content with myself
in different ways of my life.
I just stopped caring about
other people and their feelings about how I am.
And started actually focusing on who the best version of me was and what I wanted to do. So I started just working out. I started saying, let me focus on my skincare. I don't care if people say it's not masculine. It is masculine. First of all, focus on skincare and these things. Let me just touch up on these things.
Because at the end of the day, when I am at my most refined self, someone's gonna find that attractive. When I started working on myself, like physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, I'm gonna find someone who appreciates that, and they're on that wavelength as well.
Yeah, it's valid. I think for me, I definitely started self-reflecting. I started filling out self-love sheets. I went on Google and printed them out, and I was filling them out daily and just self-reflect. Why do I love myself? What's great about myself? Really doing that inner work, really drilling in my head about all the things that are great about me, and not scrolling on social media too much, looking at all these photoshopped, and some not, but, you know, just perfect images of what a woman should look like, and just being more intentional of digging deep within and seeing my perfections and embracing all that I have to offer externally and internally. and just really, being consistent with those self-love sheets. And literally, you can Google them. They're all over. Print them out. Again, it's about being intentional. Like, do you want to grow? If you want to grow as a person, then you need to start doing the work that actually matters.
And with what you said too, is matters so much. There is so much focus. There is so much things we see on social media that focus on how you should look, how you should be living. You know what though?
Stop showing me
what you think I should be doing,
showing me a lifestyle
that you think I should strive for or want to look like. Show me happiness. They don't, it never really shows up like
this and this is in my life.
This and this is in my life, and I'm so happy. I'm just grateful. It's so funny. I was literally thinking this as you were mentioning that, and I was starting to go in my head. I'm like, yeah, there's so much propaganda and all these things that are just surrounding us, and it's literally always going to be there. And if you think about
going to the appearance for women,
right? You think about how it was very much
thick is in. Because we want to appreciate natural bodies. And now it's flipped where
skinny is in because we want to respect natural bodies. There ends up being no boundary. There's no middle ground of like, let's just be ourselves and appreciate who we are and just appreciate women.
And when you're yourself and when you look like yourself, you're rare. You're not like all these other women that are around on social media. You're actually rare. And I hope that people really take that in because it's kind of scary how much like I'm seeing like women looking alike like on social media, and it's not okay because then you're just going to become like everyone else. And why would you want to be like everyone else? Why would you want to look like everyone else?
And you can notice like all these people that put this out there for how to be, how to live. You don't really hear them say, I'm so grateful.
That's what I want people to ask themselves
with anything. And if they do see those people posting what they're grateful about, really ask yourself, are those the same things you're going to be grateful for? Because I've been around people who they care about these things a lot.
And it's like, what are they grateful for?
What are they grateful for? It's like, I got this new car.
This chest here, whatever it is.
This chest here, whatever it is. This ass, whatever it is. And it's like...
They're very superficial things.
They're very superficial things, like just general things that I've heard, right? These are things that they're grateful for, and it's okay. That's fair, and if that's something you're grateful for, that's cool. You're going to have people around you that's grateful for that. But if that's not you...
Ask yourself that.
And also, to piggyback on what you just said, follow people that add value to your life, add knowledge. Like, there's a whole other side to TikTok that is loving, supportive, uplifting, motivational. There's the other side of social media. I said TikTok because that's where I'm mainly on, but like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's really, again, I'm going to say this word for probably like the 1,000th time. Be intentional with what you follow, who you're following. How do these people make you feel? When you see their posts, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel less than? If it makes you feel less than, unfollow. You don't need that. Why do you need that?
And to piggyback off your piggyback, like your algorithm at the day, it's what you click on, it's what you share, it's what you like. So sometimes you have to realize that that's how some of these pages get you. That's how they get you to stay in this algorithm, because they know you're going to comment on things you don't like, to say what you don't like. So allow yourself sometimes to see something you do like. And something that I've been training myself to do lately. Find posts that you're going to leave a positive comment and leave that positive comment.
If you're doom scrolling,
you're doom scrolling for who knows how long. If you catch yourself doom scrolling, you know you're one more post and you're done. You're really not going to be one post. Start thinking to yourself, let me leave a comment on 5 posts that are positive.
I love that.
See what that does for you.
Yeah, I'm very grateful again
for this episode. We got a lot in. Thank you guys for listening.
Everyone who's listening.
Please like, share, comment. We're gonna have something special. We're gonna mention as well on our social media, so look out for that as well. And peace.